We have some network problems outside of the World Bank in the United States, and they seem to have been solved. We have less participants now that we had expected. Possibly they have not been able to log in, and we will apologize to them. But we can begin. We now have about 30 participants. Today's session on e-government self-assessment tool for cities will be presented by Hak-Jin Frederick Lim, IT consultant, World E-Governments Organization of Cities and Local Governments, WeGo, and Andrei Klochnov, the Deputy Director of the Regional State Budgetary Institution of Electronic Ulyanovsk in Russia. We're running a little late. Let me briefly introduce the session. The City E-Government Diagnostic and Solution Toolkit, or known as CEDS, is based on a partnership between the World Bank, the Seoul Metropolitan Government, and WeGo. It was developed and designed specifically for cities, taking holistic factors beyond technology into account. It is a fast and user-friendly diagnostic tool for cities and to self-assess the maturity level of their e-government environment and fill any gaps in their e-city services in a cost-efficient manner. WeGo has developed the CEDS Toolkit online data platform, which will be made available on the WeGo website, www.we-gov.org, to their members. This webinar will be led by, as I mentioned, Mr. Frederick Lim, WeGo consultant, accompanied by the city case study presentation by WeGo member city, Ulyanovsk region of Russia. The first presenter will be Mr. Lim, is that right? Right now we have.
We should move to Andrei since he's already connected.
Yeah, we have the Mr. Lim. For the delay, Mr. Lim, you have the floor. We're going to proceed with your presentation.
Okay, hello. This is Frederick from Chennai, India. Can you hear that?
We can hear you well. If any of the participants can report back on the audio, if it's fine or if there are any problems, please let us know. Otherwise, we can proceed. Lilea Pimentel is confirming that she can hear you. I assume others can, so please go ahead and proceed.
Okay, thank you. First of all, I apologize. Yeah, I'm very sorry for this technical troubles from my side. I don't know why, but I already have some tested, but there's some problem with my laptop maybe. But anyway, I'm very, very happy to introduce this Southern City e-government specialized specific assessment toolkit to everyone who has some kind of interesting about this toolkit. So in my presentation, I have a very short brief presentation material, and if it's also available, I would like to show some kind of a demonstration what exactly we have. This is actually implemented by World Bank in 2013, and from 12 to 13. So I'm very happy to introduce this one. So I just moved to another slide. So just before my demonstration, I would like to say something about the city e-government. So why the city e-government is such important. And next, and that leads for diagnostic tools. And finally, I would like to say what is the purpose of this toolkit. So everything is okay? The sound is okay?
Everything is fine.
Okay, thank you. So just think about together. Think about the city. It's not moving. Just move. Yes, like city. The city is just a city. The many people is living in the city, working in the city, and they're doing a lot of things. In the city. But just think again. The city can be a seaport. And city also, it can be a tour site. And city is like a capital, and also many church temples and the market, and many educational sites like universities and high school and so on and so forth. So when we are just talking about the e-governance, like e-government for government, for the national level of the government, it's very, it's not the simple, but you can say, okay, we have some kind of e-governance system for officials, like administration systems for births and the death certification and property tax, and then some other GIS system and so on and so forth. But the city are a little bit different compared with the national level. So this city government, how can I say, e-governance is it's a little bit overlapped with the national level and provincial level. But many of more than 80% of the affairs is different. For example, rubbish control, and then garbage truck control. And what about the underground facility management? It's not, belongs to the national level of e-governance. That's why it's a little bit different for the city government. So when I just remind again this, city, the city can be some kind of hub for the political issue and economical issue and social issue. So the city means it's like urban, the urban area, there are many people living there. Some people are working for the service area, like driving bus and so forth. But around of the city, the city which is mixed with the rural area, they're also working as a farmer, So the city is more complicated compared with the national level. National level, for example, Minister of the Defense, they just making some kind of management of system for the armors and something, and the vehicles and so forth. But the city is more complicated compared with the national level. So I just moved to another sectors, like the needs for the diagnosis tool. So previously, there are many diagnosis and analysis tools for national level of e-governance. There are many from Korea and from United States and from from the EU and from other many private sector. There are many this kind of tool. But when we just implemented this toolkit, at the moment there is no specific city e-government specific tool. It doesn't exist. That's why we just implemented this toolkit with the World Bank, and then we just taking lots of information from existing studies for national level and provincial level. And we also asked to the city's whole government, which is the number one e-government, city in the world. According to United Nations. So we also got some information from them, and also we got some kind of pilot testing in the Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia, and also Dar es Salaam in Tanzania, and also Buenos Aires in Argentina. So we got those information from many stakeholders and many operators who is exactly working in the city e-government area. So we just making 6, leverage domains, such as governance and policy and resource capacity and ICT network and citizen readiness, and finally the public service infrastructure. So we made this city e-government maturity level for assessing, for diagnosis of city e-government status. Then I just want to show you one very famous in Korea, one smart city in Korea. It's a smart city. It's already just done maybe 3 years ago. It's very nice, there are many CCTV camera there, and they have also IT system for traffic and transportation. And also when you just go to your home in this city, the system is automatically recognize your car, and the parking lot is automatically open. So when you go to the into the building, the elevator is coming to you, exactly. So no need to wait. And what about the security? All CCTV cameras and every infrastructure is connected with the police department. So something happened, something wrong, something in the city. The police department is very easy to, how can I say, recognize of those kind of situation. But if you need this kind of system, you need a lot of money, as you can see, So the smart city, there are two kinds of smart city. One of them is we call the physical smart city. You need a lot of the money and budget, put a lot of the CCTV cameras and many IT systems and devices and machine and so forth. But every city has some limitation of the budget and resources. That's why we cannot say if you want to become the smart city, just find some way how to get them more budget and funding. That's why we have to know exactly where we are and what kind of requirement we have. And what kind of, inconvenience for city e-government officials. That's why we need this, diagnosis and an assessment toolkit. So let's move to another slide. So this is one concept. This is just a screenshot of our, the prototype of the status. When you see the up level, like a new. So if you want to assessing due for this year, just click that one, and there are many questions is coming. There are many questions asking to you answer the questions. For example, do you have a CIO, and what kind of the capacity you have, and what kind of ICT related affair you have, and there are many questions. It's approximately 130 questions is in this framework. Then when you just finish all those, answer the question, there are another, investigation is coming. What kind of system you have for administration level, administration sector, like a email system, and like a payroll system, and like the tax system. So there are many systems which is for there are many systems for government officials and government management, and there is also another sector we call the citizen service. So there are many system lists. There are many system lists which is related with the citizen service, and also there are another sector is we call the enterprise sector. So also there are some many e-government systems which is related with the company, like ICT, promotion something, and the company registration, a patent, and so on and so forth. So this framework is also asking what kind of system you have currently or you don't have. So for example, one system like a procurement system. City government procurement system. Those kind of system, that system is supposed to implemented when you are level 3. So if you are level 3, according to your personal investigation, but if you don't have that system, then this framework is automatically announce you, okay, you have to consider to implementing for that e-procurement system. So this is just a screenshot of the framework. So why do we need this kind of assessment and then diagnosis? Because even in Korea, there are many duplicate investment to implementing the e-government system because unfortunately, the information sharing about the e-government system is not that. The communication is not that good between the department and between the other city. So each city government implementing the same systems, and also in one city government they're just making a very similar system, and they're just using those two systems at the same time. So it's a waste of the money and it's a waste of the time, and a lot of resources is gone. So if you have this kind of full screen about your all kind of the e-government, city e-government systems, and then maturity level and your score, and then it can be very good for make a decision to right direction. That's why we just implementing this one, and this is why we have to consider about this one. So what purpose of this toolkit? So this toolkit is provide the city e-government maturity level. So where you are, like you got the 65 point, maximum 100. So you can easily recognize where we are. But also this we have some segment. So administration level where you are for the administration sector, and where we are for the citizen services sector, where you are for the enterprise sector, and finally where you are for the urban and infrastructure sector. So we have 4 segments to give some information, your position and your status. Plus, we are also providing progressive system map. Means we just put more than 100 city e-government related system. So when you just finish all the investigation, you can recognize easily, okay, which system I have now, and which system is now in plan. It's like a stage of the RFP, and the system is the utilization. Okay, most of function is already functional, and then most of officials are using the system or not. So such kind of utilization is also provided, and also so far this is prototype. That's why there's no. But also when you just finished investigation and analysis of this analysis of your city e-government status, this framework will be also provide some kind of modules. The module means it's like some document. For example, okay, you have to this framework is recommend you please consider to implementing the GIS system. Then you can easily access what is the GIS system, and then if I want to implementing the GIS system, then what kind of procedure and what kind of recommendation do I have? So also recommendation is also provided. And finally, when you just have the information about the current situation about your city e-government, and plus you have also some kind of guideline how to implementing that e-government system, then you just combine together. Then finally you can also make some kind of a master plan. But master plan is not that just a huge master plan. It's just some kind of action plan. Okay, this year I have to consider about this system. After that, okay, next year, the year after next year, what kind this system I need to consider. Then you also you can also easily you can also ask to the upper level, like the parliament and then council, to get some approval to implementing that e-government system and so forth. So this framework is provide basically 3 parts. First one is the analysis and assessment and analysis, and then second part is the modules, like a recommendable modules, how you can implement the system. It's a huge book report. Like one system has approximately 50 pages with the standard and everything, and technical schematics and system configuration, network configuration, and everything. And finally, this also provide a master plan, how to make an action plan. So this is exactly what the framework is provide. So there's some chart. This chart means this is some kind of history. Many city government the officials, they're just changing their position very often. So even one year, some people is working as an IT officials, but suddenly he just moved to another department and came new, and he just leave and then come again. So also one big issue is the tracking is a big issue. Okay, the citizen ask to city government, we need some kind of citizen complaint handling system. We need now, something like that. But the new member of that, the official cannot, recognize, okay, what about the last year and the year before last year? So there's no, history tracking. So when you just diagnosis and assessment, with this framework, and all information is automatically saved by year and by half year and by quarter. So the history tracking is also available. So that's why previously we just provide this framework as a spreadsheet, like an Excel file, to do something by themselves. But Excel is not available to tracking or history tracking. That's why we also put the additional function for make some kind of tracking, history tracking. And what I just already mentioned about the city e-government master plan, so when you just finish this one, and then also we have some kind of manual how to implementing the city e-government master plan. So when you just go there, and then there are some kind of descriptions and manuals and how to implementing the master plan. So also we are just providing of this one. And this is the module what I already mentioned before. So administration information system number 1, and number 2 business information system, number 3 call center, number 4 e-archive systems. So if you need to consider to implementing this system, just click one of the system and then open the one document. It's like a PDF document, and there are lots of the information. Even you are not familiar with that system, because the many city e-government officials, I mean the IT officials, unfortunately they don't know exactly what is IT. Some of them is from the rubbish control. Some of them is from the planning department. So they need this kind of document, like a guideline and like a Bible. So far we have also some limitation. We are just trying to provide a lot of information, but this whole, how can I say, existing information is not the exactly, it's not the Bible, because we need some more, how can I say, supporting from all around the world, because every city has some different. So we have some more information from each city, then we just analyzing again about the input from the each city, like for example Lithuania, and what about the Estonia, and what about the Brazil and Seoul, Korea, and other countries. The all city could be different. That's why we have some more information. Then one day, maybe the end of the next year, 2015 or 2016, we're trying to put some kind of big data platform to analyzing everything. Then we just planning to make some better indicators, simple and standard indicators. Then it can be also very good for city government.
Excellent presentation.
Okay, thank you.
Please do not hang up your phone. Please keep it on.
Yeah.
This is the way that you're linked.
Absolutely.
Okay, so now we'll go with Mr. Andrei Klochnov, experience of using CEDS toolkit in Ulyanov region. So, Andrei, the floor is yours, please.
Yep, okay, I will turn on my web camera. Do you see me well?
We can hear you really well.
Yep, okay. So, hello everyone. Let me introduce myself. My name is Andrei Klochkov, and I'm from Russian Federation. I'm from Ulyanovsk region, from Lenin's motherland. And we, as I understand, was one of the first regions and one of the first cities who have any experience of using CEDS toolkit inside our region. It was very interesting to start working with this toolkit, and I would like to tell several information, several feedback to describe the situation, how we do it, why we do it, and so on. So let's start it. First of all, I would like to tell you information about our organization. We're the regional state budgetary institution that's called Electronic Ulyanovsk. Ulyanovsk is the name of our city. So this regional state budgetary institution is a very big institution in Ulyanovsk region, is the biggest of IT infrastructure. We give the technical support of whole e-government system inside Ulyanovsk region. The same structures usually is in every Russian region. So all technical support of all e-government system are under our controls. E-services development and implementation, of course, too. GIS-based system, any international cooperation of regional e-governments are under our control. So we are such, maybe it can be called a ministry of IT of region. And in this way, we know better than everybody in Ulyanovsk region what's happened with IT structures, what's happened with information system, and what problems usually is, and so on. So all of this information is getting to our offices, and then we put it inside toolkit and get the information about what's happened in our region, what is the point of view of this toolkit to what's happening in our region. So let's go next. And we, while using CDS system, we have two evaluation stages. First step was to collect the information from the field experts. I mean, e-services, open data, some experts in, for example, education area, and so on. And the second one was data collecting and consolidation. So after all of regional areas give us information about information technologies, what systems they have installed, what systems they have already implemented, what feedbacks do they have from the I don't know, citizens or maybe some other experts' feedback. We collect all this data and then put it inside the Excel files. Yes, on the first part we use the Excel file that was given to us by the World Bank, and we fill it all using just pop-up windows and such common and simple dialects. And advantages of this type of collecting data is very good, because it is easy to send the Excel files to everyone who even doesn't know what is web technologies, who have no any credentials to the system. They just receive the email, get the Excel files, and put all the data there. But the disadvantages of such methods is that it is impossible to highlight the certain boxes. So the Excel files doesn't give us the issue just to understand what boxes is already filled by the data and what boxes are empty. And of course, we have a problem with multi-users and multi-using. I mean that it is very hard to collect all data and to make a consolidation of all data when you send the Excel files to 7 or maybe 10 different departments or different organizations. They all want to fill only their part of data, but indeed they don't understand what should they do and what fields they should fulfill. This was a real problem, and if you have many different departments, and if you have many independent systems and many different persons who need to work with this Excel file, this will be very big problem. It took us about 2 days to consolidate all data and to collect all data from the all departments. This is our point of view. This is maybe not the disadvantages, but it is our recommendation, because if you will have many departments, this will be a real problem. So let's go next. Evaluation process, stage number 2. While we were doing evaluation process, there was very big advantages that I want to mention, because the interface of the CDS system is very easy and very intuitive. So it is, I mean that you don't need any experience of using technology, statistical methods or something like this. You can just do it by yourself, and it is very, very easy to put in all data. Easy update both in Excel and web files. It is a very good advantage because when you put in data, all information, you always have a last version of all information there. The consolidation of data, it is very simple to overview it, and it is very simple to use it. And single structure. Single structure, I mean, in this point, I mean that you got, how it's better to call it, you've got information in common overviews. So all data look like the same, whether it is data from citizens, whether it is data from governments or from departments, all look the same. It is very good to interpret the data in the same way. But there are several disadvantages, and our recommendations what can be improved to with the CDS system and to make it better. First of all, the downloadable results. Yes, there was several problems with getting the results in a PDF file or maybe in HTML file because the main aim that you use this system is to get your result and to understand what it is. Then you take the result and go there to, I don't know, to the governor or to vice president, to the deputy governor and show him, okay, here is our result. We passed through the test and this is our result. You can see it. So you need to download it, or maybe you need to share it on your website, and the result is not almost done in the format that you need. You can save only data in PDF format, but not all, only part of it. Not all the transcript can be saved in the same time. And the same problem as I mentioned last slide, the multi-user system. Yes, it is a real problem because if the system, if the CDS toolkit is available just online without Excel file, you need to apply the multi-user system and you need to give them a credentials because I think almost in all cities not one person understands all the IT sector and IT area. Usually it separate to the several departments and you need to collect data from all of them. Next goes unable to group the questions, change the order. Yes, this is one of the main problems that we mentioned, that I mentioned already. All departments and all small branches need their own order of the questions. They need to understand what is their question and what questions is to another department. Better to reorder the question that is given in this toolkit and to prepare your own order of the questions. This is just our recommendation, and it be very simple then to collect the data from the departments. Yes, color marks of non-answered questions will be good because there are about 200, maybe even more questions, and if you don't have any answer, you cannot find the positions where there are no answer indeed. So it will take a lot of time to review once again all the quiz. So you need to have some colored marks and to understand that this question I already settled and this question needs my additional attention. And of course, autosave system. If you are using web-based technologies and you have a quiz more than, I don't know, even 10 questions, you need to apply autosave system. Without it, your web browser will close the session and all results will be crushed. So this was the main disadvantages and our recommendations. Yes, but what about the results? What about the results? Total evaluation mark correlates to the objective image of IT sector. Yes, this is a real true. It was very, very good to find how it's better called, find some toolkit that show us the such yes, such a mark that correlates to the objective image. It was really surprised because only this year, in the beginning of this year, I mean 2014, we make investigation about the IT sector inside Ulyanovsk region, and the results of the experts was the same as CDC toolkit give us. So it means that the products worked good. I cannot see that it is almost true, but it is very, very close to our objective image. Yes, problem areas are studied true to fact. Problem areas shown very good, and the problem described very, very, I think even perfect. We we know all our problems, and we get the answer from the CDS toolkit, and CDS toolkit show us our problems once again. But not problem areas are sometimes overestimated. Yes, not problem areas are too smoothly, so we cannot get the information what can be done with not problem areas. If I don't have I don't know, if I don't have data center and I cannot support all information system, yes, this is a problem. I know it, and CDS toolkit show it to me. But if I have some small problem, what should I integrate, a new transport system or traffic light system? I cannot get this information. I think that it is so because toolkit doesn't use extra statistics. So it means that you need to apply more data there, maybe more statistical data from other cities or other countries or other regions. If it will be more and more information, the mark and the total mark will be equal to the objective image of the IT sector. I think this is the aim, and this is the step where should go CDS system, where should go it. So suggestions that I already mentioned. First of all, to consider peculiarities of the country and region. Yes, this is our suggestion because indeed I think in not only in Russian, in most of all countries, it will be useful to have such features. Yes, to export the final brief report in various forms, including HTML format. Yes, we do the test and we put on the answers to the quiz not only for ourselves. We do this for many persons, and the best thing is to share it in the common and simple format. Yep, so to introduce a dynamic CDS system, compare with annual quarter analysis. Yes, this is the main suggestion that I want to mention, that any analysis must be done not only once. It should be done annually, quarterly, or something like this to see what's going on, where are you moving on, and this will show that you are doing right, you are not doing right, and so on. So quarter analysis is one of the best things. Quarter analysis one is the best thing that I want to have in such toolkit. Yes, and of course, to enable two-role system, evaluation by citizen expert and evaluation by regional IT experts. I think this is the second place in our suggestions because now CDS toolkit give us only the opinion of the government. It is our point of view to IT sector and to all problems that we have, to all features that we already implemented. But citizens are not thinking as we. And of course, regional IT experts are don't have the same opinion as I have. So it will be good if CDS toolkit will be available to collect the data not only from government, from maybe IT experts or citizen experts, something like this. Then we will have a different point of view to the same questions and to the same implementation of information systems, and then it will be more and more objective. Yes, this is the main thing that I want to mention in CDS toolkit. Next goes to compare the result with other country cities can be anonymized. So it is very good to understand that okay, our city have only 64 score. Score is only 64, and what is the score for other cities? Where are we in the whole world, and so on. It will be good to have this information just to understand that we are going right, and so on. To compare your own results with others similar in the common variety of parameters. Yes, it is good to me. For example, we just have yes, we see the Korean, some city in Korea, and I mentioned that they have 94 score in their result of CDS toolkit, and I want to understand where is our position. For example, if we have the same budgets, what can be done in different countries, in different cities with the same budget, or what is the IT sector level in the cities with the same population. There should be some how comparison give us objective point of view. So it will be good to have such feature there too. Yep, and to add questions about the territory, population, and sort them as separate block of general information. It is just a small suggestion because the budget, the population is just placed in the not in the same part of the quiz. You can find the question with the budget in the end of the quiz and the question with the population in the beginning of it. It is not so good to make in such order. So the order should be changeable, or you should, I don't know, it will be better just to have a separate block of the general information. This is our suggestions. So thank you very much. I'm ready to answer any questions. If you got one, you can write my email address and send me letters. I can speak English, Spanish, and German language. So you can write letters. 3 languages. I would like to say to Vigo for a chance for using CDS. It was a really great pleasure to do this, one of the first regions. Thank you very much, and thank you.
Thank you, Andre. We'll have both on, right? So thank you, Andre. We're very good. That was excellent, and we now have both Mr. Lim and yourself on audio. Is that correct, Mr. Lim? Are you on?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to go to questions, and we can sort them out for both of you. I think the first one was an excellent question, and it goes to one of the points that was just made by Andre. And the question, let me see. Hold on, the screen just moved a little bit. It's from Chiyenge Sampa, and the question is: in evaluation of the cities, are you going to consider the size of the particular city, which was a point that Andre just made? So, Mr. Lim, maybe you can answer that question. Let me go through a couple of questions, and then we can answer them. So, the first one is on size. Arubindo Ogra, what is the rationale behind using only 12 modules? Does it suffice to different types of cities, metropolitan, large, medium, small, in any country? And I think that I think this question goes to the metropolitan side, the multi-jurisdictional aspect of e-governance within a city. How is that addressed? So why don't we group these 2 questions, the one on size and the one on the type of city, metropolitan as well as size. Mr. Lim, could you
Yes.
give us some background on that?
regarding the size,
Size and
how
also
can I say?
the issue of multi-jurisdictional. So a city that has a metropolitan area, either declared or not, that has multiple cities, but it really is one system.
Yes. So that's why I just want to say first regarding the size. As I told you, there are two, how can I say, paths for investigation. The first part is there are several questions for governance and then ICT capacity and internal and external many dimensions. So during that questions, there are also asking to you exactly how many people is living in your city, and then how much budget, how big budget you have for e-governance and the urban management, everything. That's why, exactly the status is not, how can I say this is a big city and this small city and the medium-sized city. But also there's some question, anyway, this is where some questions for, how can I say, also some urbanization rate and then how many people living there and how big size of the city. So like this, if you have the urbanization rate is very big, those information is coming from actually the statistic data from the World Bank and the United Nations also. So then,
Mr. Lim, thank you.
Need to consider some more about the e-governance for better urban management.
Okay,
So this status is not exactly, how can I say, compared with a big and small city. This status is focused on then the necessary late. Why you need more than other city?
Okay.
Why you need city e-government?
Thank you very much, Mr. Lim. Let's go to other questions. I think the other aspect, if you can answer, is metropolitan cities. Cities that have several autonomous jurisdictions and have different systems within the same urban area. How do you deal with that?
Yes, actually, this status, how can I say, the benchmark model. How can I say, the benchmark model is actually City Seoul. The City Seoul is just kind of metropolitan city. There are many functions in there. So we just collecting lots of the name of systems and function of systems, and then capacity and other lots of the dimensions from the City Seoul. That's why when you just can answer the questions and put some your information, it can be how can I say more focused on the metropolitan city,
okay.
Not the small city. So maybe this is just version number 1 in the prototype. Maybe next step we have to just make some kind of segment like a small city and then rural and then urban mixed city. So so far it's just the focus on then what is the number 1 in the in this stage, and then what is we have to achieve. What is the goal and the objective of this city e-governance pairs?
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Lim. Also, if we could ask you to please lower the speakers, because we're not since you're in the phone, you can hear the feedback a little bit. So thank you very much. Let me now go to and that question about the cities was from Aurobindo Ogra from Johannesburg. So thank you very much for that excellent question. Ashba Justice is asking, apart from cities and local governments, can NGOs or researchers or ICT experts work with WeGo? Maybe a simple answer to that, Mr. Lim, is it possible to have others work other than local governments?
Yes, I think.
Okay, so it's a yes.
Yes.
Then the next question is, how is the scoring system adopted? The rationale behind the scoring and evaluation system. The scoring pattern, evaluation system may be different for different cities. Is the tool flexible enough to adopt different scoring and evaluation systems?
But this status framework is provide the common areas, common systems. If you are the, how can I say, exactly the IT officer of the city government, anyhow you have to consider about those kind of systems,
Okay. The other question is not here, but I wanted to ask a little bit about the Rutgers University. About 10 or 12 years ago, started another evaluation system for e-governance of cities. Are you aware of that system, and does it build on, does the WeGo system build on that experience? It was used by the UN for several years.
I'm sorry, I had some problem with the telephone connection. I just couldn't following your questions.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Are there other systems to assess the e-governance capacity? Some years ago in Korea, in collaboration with Rutgers University from New Jersey, a system was started. And I wanted to know whether or not that system is still being employed or not.
Yes, there is such kind of some framework which is implemented, how can I say, by one Korean university and another United States university. Also, there is also another, how can I say, some kind of methodology to assessing the city e-government by the Ericsson company, is a Swedish company. But those how can I say, framework and the methodology is providing only maturity levels. You know, and they are not, how can I say, touch what kind of system you have, whether you have this system or not. So those kind of information is not, how can I say, touch everything from the A to G, like administration, citizen, enterprise, and urban infrastructure. So this is some more in detail.
Okay.
And just to focus on, yeah.
So then, going back to the question on the 12 modules, the question was, does this suffice? Well, okay, no, I guess we went through this. Let me go to another question from Katja Dietrich. The question is, what are the limitations for using this system in developing countries? How much data needs to be available to have relatively usable results, which are often missing in many of our countries? So that's how much data needs to be available to have a relatively usable result, as data is often missing or not very concrete. So,
Okay. So for that one, we are using also the objective data from the World Bank, some statistic data. So most of our, how can I say, data is provided by the World Bank and the United Nations. But still, some country doesn't have, how can I say, those kind of statistic data. In that case, you know, it's really, how can I say, hard to provide those kind of data to the developing country. So still we have some kind of limitation, and for those kind of collecting the information.
Thank you, Andre. Maybe you can chime in on this, on the availability of data. Was that an issue with your application of the system, and how did you deal with it? Andre, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Thank you. So back to the issue on data and availability of data. I wanted to know whether or not this was an issue when you applied the framework.
Yes, I would like to tell the information that now in Ulyanovsk region we haven't, I think that about 65, maybe 70% of all information system are implemented inside the region, and we have the same problem as Katja Dietrich mentioned in the last question. So I think that it is possible already to use this framework, because it will help you to make annual reports or quarter reports and understand where are you going, where are you moving, and what problem you already solved, and what need your additional, I don't know, attention.
Thank you very much. I guess just a comment again from a very prolific contributor, Mr. Aurobindo Ogra, is pointing out that there are many systems for national e-governance, but that this one is for local government, and that's quite a useful feature of it, of course. There were other questions that we received prior to the session. I wanted to mention one on Suleimane Musa. The question was, is there a standard in deploying e-government? That there's maybe an ISO rating standard or some other international protocol for deploying e-governance at the local level, or is this one of the attempts that does that, or is there a global standard that's accepted by everybody? Mr. Lim?
There's no such kind of global standard like such as ISO, for this status. We didn't, how can I say, try to get those ones because how can I say, the IT sector is moving very fast.
Right.
Very, very fast. That's why we just trying to get some more information from exactly from the operators, like a city e-governance operators. So we are just planning to put some kind of big data analysis platform. Then one day we are just analyze everything and then provide back feedback to all the city e-government, how can I say, operators.
Okay.
So we are just not pursuing the global standard.
Thank you very much. And Leonardo Leon is sending a question. Some other tools, such as the ODRA or Indicators of Smart City, have been reviewed for design of the CDES. So the question is, have you looked at the ODRA or Indicators of Smart City? That's the question from Leonardo Leon.
Okay. Can you hear it?
Yes. So the question is, I guess there are some other tools, such as the ODRA. I'm not sure what that means. Or Indicators of Smart City have they been reviewed in the design of the CDES? So I guess the question is, what are the other systems that have been reviewed when the CEDS is being now consolidated? Leonardo, if you can specify what the ODRA is in your question, maybe we can get back to that question and start from there. We started late and we're running over the time. We'll go about 10 more minutes and then we'll let's see, 5 more minutes. My manager is telling me not to go more. So he said ODRA is Open Data Readiness. So that's what Leonardo's Mr. Lim. So the question is, some other tools such as the Open Data Readiness or Indicators of Smart City have they been reviewed for the design of the CDS? And if you can answer that, maybe we can answer Leonardo later by email. Let me go to one or two more questions that we received earlier. One is from Demantar Singh. Very open, big question is, how can e-government play a role to bring transparency, effectiveness, and efficiency in a country like India? I guess it's a very big question, Mr. Lim. And Andre, can you please, in the context of the diagnostic tool, if you could tell us a little bit about how, does it look at issues of transparency and availability of information to the public?
It's very complicated to say regarding the transparency with the assessment tool. And say open those kind of how can analyze information to the citizens. Then the citizen also easy to recognize. Okay, we have the system, but why we have to make a very similar system? So in the procurement stage, they can argue something.
Yeah, Mr. Lim, can you lower your volume because we have a feedback?
Yeah, okay. When I just turn off the my laptop speaker, then I cannot hear you.
Okay.
But when I just turn on, and then
please go ahead.
Also some loud. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. So with the assessment toolkit, the transparency is a little bit a little bit hard to say.
Okay, and then okay, Andre, from your point of view, how did it work? Do you think that it gave you some insight into gauging how transparent government is to the public with the diagnostic?
Yes, this was one of my suggestions because I want to use the point of view of citizens and to get their own point of view. So I think that if the CDS toolkit will be available for the citizens, I can give them I don't know, the credentials, and some expert from them will fill this form. I will have the information from them. I can, I don't know, I can watch, I can see their point of view, and I can understand what do they think of this problem, of this system, and so on. The comparison of my point of view with the point of view of citizens is very important.
Okay.
So I think that in our status, CDS toolkit is available for such use.
Thank you very much. Okay, so let's go to the last question, which appropriately is about where one of the most important regions of the world where e-governance can make a huge difference. The question is from Moses Macharia. Do we have cases of African cities that have or are expressing progress in adopting this, the diagnostic CEDS in Africa? That's a question from Moses, or e-governance in general, if you have experience. So let's go to Mr. Lim first. Question on Africa, if you could give us if you have any feedback on that.
Yes, non-officially, we provide this CEDES toolkit to two countries in Africa. One is the Tanzania, Dar es Salaam, city Dar es Salaam, and another one is the Maputo, Mozambique. Maputo, Mozambique, and then Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. We just provide to two cities, non-officially. And also we got some information non-officially, because some information is quite, critical and sensitive. When I just compare with the UN e-government index, and that I can feedback from that city, some of them is quite similar, but some of them there are some big difference. Mm-hmm. Anyway, we had two cases.
Okay, Andre, do you have any experience? I know you speak Spanish and lots of other languages. Have you worked in Africa? Do you have any insight on Africa?
No, but this summer, person from the WIGO organizations came from Sudan region, and we have discussed this problem about e-government and e-government implementation. And I want to tell that in Sudan everything goes in correct way, in the same way as in Russian. So it is only hard work, it is only everyday work with the e-government to make it transparency to citizens and so on. Indeed, CDS can help you to understand what fields need your additional attention.
Very good. Well, I think this has been a very good session. We appreciate everyone that has joined. The presentation will be available and the video in 24 hours in the same link that you had, right? Is that correct? You'll get an email with that information. I think that the feedback from the case study was very useful for going forward on the next generation of the platform. And the presentation from Mr. Lim was very clear. So thanks again to Mr. Lim and Mr. Klochno for their excellent presentations, for the participants for their excellent questions, and apologies for the late start. Any announcements for the future? No? Okay. So please stay tuned to the E-Institute website for any further announcements on webinars. Thank you very much to everybody, and have a good evening or a good day. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.